Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. We are looking at the MLB slate for tonight, 10-game slate. So let's get started. As always, appreciate if you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. If you were thinking about getting the football pass, today's the last day to get it at $50 off. It will go back to regular price. So check out the website if you wanted to get in on that. But otherwise, let's get started with the video. Looking at the lineups and the totals for today, a couple of teams look pretty interesting going to the DraftKings 10-game slate. The Oakland A's look great today. They're going up against Jordan Lyles in Texas. Lyles all season has struggled, giving up a lot of runs, giving up a bunch of home runs, not getting a ton of strikeouts. Overall, he has a 5.46 ERA with 27 bombs given up this year. Most of them have been on the road, but still think that this Oakland team, which has seen him already a couple times, has hit him pretty hard. We'll get to him again today. So definitely love the Oakland A's stack. We can go to some other teams like I think a different kind of stack would be the KC Royals. You get a bunch of cheap hitters in this stack going up against John Lester, who also doesn't get very many strikeouts, gives up a lot of runs. And a couple of guys, Whit Merrifield, Salvador Perez, look like great pieces to put into a mini stack. Maybe throw in like a min-price Michael Taylor, throw in Dozier, who gives you some pop. They look appealing. We have the Dodgers. Taijuan Walker gave up a bunch of bombs to the Phillies in his last start. Could look to some of these Dodgers bats. And then you have the Padres against a lefty, so Tommy Pham, Machado, probably Nola, Will Myers look somewhat appealing. They do have a bunch of lefties still, 1, 2, 3, 4 lefties, so I wouldn't really like to get to them. But if Gilbert doesn't last long, which would probably be the case, they should see some at-bats against right-handed pitching. And that Freeland's been pretty good this year. Maybe look to like Ruff or Slater as some one-offs just because they're cheap, but they're not. Giants aren't a team I really want to stack up today. I think the Astros are a team. Astros and the A's are the top two on the day. They go up against Jaime Barria, who has survived this year, even though he's getting super lucky because he's not getting really any strikeouts. Only 13 strikeouts in 25 innings. Overall opponents are hitting just 216 against him, but that is some bad luck. BABIP just based on the fact that he's averaging about half a strikeout per inning. That's not going to last. He gives up his strikeout to walk numbers are pretty similar. And this Houston team is super powerful against both sides of the plate, lefties and righties. And they are somewhat affordable. We can get to guys like Correa under 4K. Brantley is just 31. Tucker coming off of a grand slam is 37. Diaz been hitting a very good bat. He's only 31. And you get the bottom of the order is all below $2,300. So the Astros, Royals, A's, some of the top teams I'm kind of looking at today. Looking at the pitching matchups, we have Walker Buehler going up against the Mets. I want to get to him today. He's 10-6, but he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's not going to get double-digit strikeouts very often, but he goes deep into games. He gets a bunch of ground balls, gives up some fly balls too, but he's been super consistent. Very rarely has he gotten blown up this year. He's in the case for Cy Young. Zach Wheeler is probably the front runner, but he had a somewhat of a rough outing. Gave up a 3-run home run to Votto last night. But Buehler in the mix at 10-6 today. For your SP2, you got James Kaprielian. You got Joe Musgrove as some of the top two guys. Cease as a contrarian play against the Yankees bats who get a lot of strikeouts, also get a lot of home runs. Kind of a risk-reward matchup there. He's 99K, so I'd much rather just get up to Musgrove in that situation unless you're playing like a tournament with like thousands and thousands of people. Other guys are Hyun-Jin Ryu, $8,400 coming off of his worst start of the season. I think he can bounce back against Seattle in Seattle. And you can maybe look to like Freeland as a contrarian play, Kenta Maeda as a contrarian play, and that is basically it. At the bats today, catcher, if you wanted to go to anybody, it would be Salvador Perez for me. Salvador Perez, Sean Murphy are the top two on the board. And then maybe look to some of these value catchers like Martin Maldonado is only 21. He would probably be a nice value catcher today. First base, we have a bunch of guys to look at. You have Shohei Ohtani, Vlad Guerrero. Both are not in the best matchups. Both teams don't have a super high total, but that just always will make them a little bit lower owned. So you can go to them. I like Matt Olson today. You can save some money and instead go all the way down to Mitch Moreland, who has been hot the past couple of games. Josh Harrison dealing with a quad injury. If he's out again, then Moreland should grab another start. 4 hits in his last 2 games, and that is with all 4 of those hits have been extra base hits. So hitting the ball hard the last couple of games, and hopefully will continue today against Jordan Lyles, who gives up a lot of power. Moreland possesses a lot of power. He's having a kind of a down season, but the last couple look pretty good. Maybe he can finish strong for the A's this year. At second base, you have a bunch of guys that look appealing. It starts with Altuve at $4,900 if you don't want to go all the way up to Trey Turner. You can go down here for like a Whit Merrifield, who's 36. Anytime he's going up against a lefty, I'm interested. He's kind of having a down year in terms of batting average, only at 270, but overall, 33 stolen bases. Gets on base, he's going to steal. It's against a lefty, so always tougher to steal bags against lefties, but Merrifield doesn't really matter. He'll take off against both sides of the plate. And hopefully today he's able to get some hits against John Lester, which I definitely think will happen. He's been good at home, 284 average, so feel pretty good about Whit Merrifield. Third base, you have Machado as the top of the list. He's 53. He also has great numbers against lefties, so look to him if you wanted to pay up for a guy. Chris Bryant is in the mix. Matt Chapman has gotten like a million walks the last couple of games, 7 walks in his last 2. So he's scoring runs. He's still having his main problem this year has been strikeouts. 148 strikeouts and 400 at-bats. That is insanely high. But the matchup today against Lyles should be able to put the ball in play. Some of the value guys at third base that look appealing are Josh Donaldson against Michael Wacha at $3,600. Aledmys Diaz been awesome for the Astros, continues to hit the ball. 2 more hits last night for him. 3 hits the game before that. He's been red hot at the plate. Look to him as a value third base option. Shortstop, we got Carlos Correa at 38. He's super cheap. We can go up a little bit for like a Tim Anderson, Trey Turner. They all look appealing. Still, the Royals are missing Mondesi. Would be a kind of a fun guy to roster today if he was in the lineup, wasn't hurt. And then finally, the outfield, Starling Marte, Shohei, top 2 guys. Shohei will probably like him a little bit more than Marte, but Marte has a much better matchup. He is very expensive, though. Wanted to save some money, you can go down to like Yordan Alvarez, who continues to hit a lot of home runs this year. Last 10 games, 639 slugging. Only 5 strikeouts for him during that span. And Barrea has really been bad with getting strikeouts in his limited time this year. So hopefully Alvarez able to put the ball in play and maybe hit one a long way. And then it worked out going with Ketel Marte last night, had a home run late. So worked out kind of going with the lower owned play. I think today somebody that kind of is similar would be Randy Arozarena. He is $4,100. He's been red hot at the plate, 405 average. We saw what he did at the playoffs last year, where he was hitting home runs almost every single night. And during this last 10 games, even though he struck out 15 times in 37 at-bats, in the other at-bats, he has 15 hits. So he's been awesome in terms of making contact. The matchup is against Kenta Maeda, who's decent pitcher overall, but whenever you see kind of a guy like Arozarena, 4 straight games with a double at least, he has a bunch of multiple hits during his last 10. He's locked in at the plate, makes some solid contact today. We all know he possesses a ton of power, so I'm willing to take a shot on him. Hopefully it works out like Marte last night. So other guys are like Luis Robert at only 31, Brantley at 31. They look good just because they're cheap. And then in the $2,000 range, maybe look to Hunter Dozier. You could go all the way down to Michael Taylor. And then I'm pretty sure Austin Slater is in the mix at 25. But that's it for DraftKings. Let's take a look at the FanDuel pricing. Okay, on FanDuel, I like to get to Musgrove. Buehler is $2,000 more expensive than Musgrove, so I would take some savings and go with Musgrove. Ryu is very expensive at 10.4, so I'm kind of looking at Musgrove. Maybe Kapralin at only 85 looks nice. In terms of the bats, I like getting to Salvador Perez. Lester will probably give up at least 1 home run today. Good chance Perez can tag him if that is indeed the case. And if the stack goes off, it's going to be probably because Perez has a very good game. Correa, I like him at 35, just in terms of a mid-range guy at shortstop. Pretty affordable. They get a very good matchup against the Angels today. And then want to continue to get to Alvarez, and then Mark Canha looks good at $3,500. Especially when Starling Marte is the most expensive guy on the slate in terms of the outfield. Getting to Mark Canha saves some about $1,000 instead. You can go to Whit Merrifield, he's 36. And then you can go all the way down to guys like in the 3K range, low 3K range, you have Kyle Tucker. You have Will Myers against the lefty, Roberts at 3,000. And then we'll get a bunch of good value today, depending on where some of these guys hit in the batting order. But overall, that is about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I'll see you all next time.